to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, what's up, guys? Happy Monday, and welcome to the 285th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today, we're going to go over Week 9, talk about some of the big upsets we saw, the Mill Creek Buford game, how that's going to impact the rankings, and set the stage for new storylines in 7A. And then we're also going to reveal my play of the week, which I think is a good one, and anyone that didn't see it is going to be very interested in it, because I don't think you've ever seen anything quite like it. It was truly amazing. As you guys know, though, we were at Harrison for the big North Paulding Harrison game. It was close. I thought North Paulding handled the weather conditions really well. Their offense didn't skip a beat. They were creative with the play calls, were aggressive, extremely successful in the red zone, would run the Wildcat, get a lot of different guys involved. And then Harrison had a good third quarter and a better second half. They tried to come back, but North Paulding was just too successful in that first half. The defense played lights out, and they ended up getting a huge win in the region opener. So now at this point, you got North Paulding and McEachern sitting at the top, and then you got Marietta, Harrison, and Hillgrove battling for the final two spots in that 5-team region. So without further ado, though, let's go ahead and get ready for this play of the week. So this happened at the end of the game. Harrison, I just talked about their comeback. We'll go over some more details of the game in a sec, but they missed the 2-point conversion to tie it up. So it was 24-22. They tried an onside kick. The kick went out of bounds, so North Paulding took over. There was about a minute 15 left, I believe, when they first got it, and I'm over there on the sideline. Naj is over there too. We're getting ready to do post-game. Harrison doesn't have enough timeouts. The game should be over. Well, as I mentioned, it was raining, so there were some mishandled snaps previously on some punts. That's actually how Harrison got its first score of the game. They went up 7-0. The snap sailed over the North Paulding's punter's head and went through his hands. And I think that's the only possible way something like this could have happened, because it was so obvious what was going on. North Paulding tries to kneel out the game in the victory formation. The first play, the Harrison defenders, and we've seen this before, but they kind of Superman dove over the line of scrimmage to try to make a play. That's not uncommon. So obviously, when the other team's not giving up and they're trying to eye the snap and just somehow force the ball out before Tyler Neer, the quarterback, can take a knee, that's something North Paulding's going to want to very closely pay attention to. So then North Paulding tries again on second down, and Harrison kind of bats at the ball before they're able to snap it. The North Paulding sideline's going nuts. It's not just the coaches, the players know what's going on. They're like, because there was time that the refs were taking to discuss it after the first one, and all I kept hearing is they won't let us snap it. They're hitting the ball out. The defensive guy's hitting the ball out. So now we're on full alert that that has happened. Well, then Harrison does it again, and with 15 seconds left, the ball comes out. Looks like, from our vantage point, because I didn't have the broadcast pulled up, I'm just looking at what I'm seeing on the field, and the ball goes completely lateral. It's pretty obvious that I've never seen a center snap it like that, just completely sideways. And Harrison jumps on the ball. They get an opportunity for a Hail Mary lateral situation, but they end up getting tackled short. So North Paulding still won this game. This play didn't impact the final score, but we saw what happened in the Miami-Georgia Tech game recently, literally that week, where Miami had the game in the bag. All they had to do was kneel it out. They decided to run a play in time. It's a controversial fumble call, and then Georgia Tech finds a miracle on a pass. That could have happened if Harrison found a way to score. They also have one of the better field goal kickers that I've seen this season. He kicked a 47-yarder earlier in the game, so had they had been in a little different field goal position, had they returned the fumble, it was just a crazy play. And I'll give Coach Stark credit because he was obviously frustrated, not only because he felt that the refs should have picked up on what was happening, but also adding an extra play like that, I mean, you can risk an injury. A lot of different things can happen, and I know that's frustrating for coaches when they're forced to put their first stringers back on the team, try to defend another play. But overall, this is why instant replay is going to be so important, because a play like this, obviously, in the state championships, we're going to have that extra referee that's going to be able to look at it, and you'll see clearly in this video, great camera work, that what I have described is what happened. The Harrison defender bats it before North Paulding can get a snap off. So normally I would not pick this as my play of the week, but I think it's important that anyone didn't see it gets a chance to see how crazy the final minutes of our game was. So let's go ahead and roll it. Watch how this ball
under
comes
10
out.
seconds.
Uh-oh. Oh, my goodness. What happened?
What happened there? What happened there?
Two views right here, and the final view.
Officials
really
talking.
Obvious.
Ball
came
came loose.
Came straight out sideways.
They're going to say it's a Harrison football.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
Oh,
Harrison has the
wow.
football. There are only 5 seconds left.
And as I
How
said,
did
the
this
only
go
reason
down?
I think this could have happened
Let's
is because
watch
it was
here.
raining.
So Neer went to the shotgun.
There you see him, and then this next angle. Check
Did it
this
get
out.
slapped again?
Up
If
right
so, wow. The North Paulding sideline's not going to like that.
Just so
not gonna-
obvious. And so here's my other point. What was the big call in the state championship that caused them to get instant replay? It was a situation where they thought basically the lead backer had the football. So he crosses the plane, the ref puts his hands up, but then while he's running in with the signal, you can clearly see that the guy that actually had the football is down on the 1.5 or 2. I feel like this is a similar situation. If you see the ball go straight out sideways, it should be obvious what happened, especially when it happened 2 plays in a row before that. The defender slapped it. A center isn't just going to toss the ball out like that. And it's not physically possible or even legal to interfere with the center snap. This isn't a lacrosse face-off. He snaps the ball to the quarterback. So just a crazy play. It happened. We have it on TV. And victory formations are a common play. And there's going to be a lot more of them this season. And so, I mean, yeah, people that were on the Harrison sideline or wanted to see a Hail Mary, we got to put that aside. We got to be fair. That's not a legal play. Refs need to be aware of this, and hopefully it won't happen again, because that would have been truly a shame if they were able to capitalize on that final game off a play like that. But other than that, a really tough loss for Harrison. I think the conditions might have factored in, just in terms of getting in that offensive rhythm. Credit to North Paulding, but it's just crazy because a few weeks ago, Harrison's undefeated, getting ready to open up the region schedule, and they lose a 3-point game on a last-minute, last-second field goal. I believe that was a 47-yarder to McEachern, and then they lose this one to North Paulding. So that's tough. They are going to have a really big response in the coming weeks. They still are going to play Hillgrove, Marietta, and who is my third one? I guess that's their only two. Yeah, because it's a 5-team region. So they're going to have to win probably both of those. Definitely the Hillgrove game. And then home field will be tough to secure at this point, but I still think that they are a solid team. But let's go ahead. I'm going to pull up our recap on it, and we can just go over how the game played out. And I'll definitely tweet that out, because a lot of people that I talked to about the game, they said they heard about it and they couldn't find the clip on Twitter. But I mean, that's the money shot right there. That's undeniable. And I think the evidence clearly would have been there to overturn that call. All right, so reigning Region 3 champion North Paulding took control of its reigning region opener against host Harrison with a pair of touchdowns just before the break, then held on through a hard-fought second half for a 24-22 victory. With the score knotted at 7-7, we mentioned the first one came off the mishandled snap. Harrison punched it in. All right, so with the score knotted at 7-7 and Harrison driving down the field, seniors Aiden Maddox and Dylan Harris sacked Hoya quarterback Braylon Ford on first and third down to force a punt. Danny Pitts took a Wildcat snap in for a 14-7 lead on the ensuing Wolfpack possession. And I really like that play call. Tyler Neer, their quarterback, he's only a sophomore, not the most physical guy. And so to come in with that Wildcat formation and just run it right up the middle, that was a outstanding play call. And they played with a lot of tempo. And so that put them up 14-7, and then on the ensuing North Paulding possession, and after Harrison lost the ball on the return, quarterback Tyler Neer connected with Ajax Anderson on a 3rd and 10 for another score with 16 seconds on the clock. That was a big play that obviously extended the lead. Ajax Anderson, he is a big-time tight end. He made a couple really solid catches in that second quarter to put them in front. And this is Coach Stark after the game, after he cooled off a little bit. Ajax did a good job making plays tonight. He can run, block, and catch, and we are very fortunate to have him in our offense. All right, Harrison kicker Simon Zeden. He's only a junior, by the way. Keep an eye on him. Coach Cassidy on the show on Friday was just talking about how impressive he's been, and he had a huge kick in that game in the mist, a 47-yarder. That was impressive. Sorry, 45 yards. All right, so Simon narrowly avoided disaster early in the third when a wet ball snipped through his hands near the goal line, but he managed to recover it and get a kickoff. North Paulding ultimately punted, but bobbled the snap, and Harrison recovered it to set up a 45-yard Zeden field goal. And that was when North Paulding had the 14-point lead. This was really the first time Harrison had scored since capitalizing on the miscues. So this at least cut it to 11 points. And then just getting points on the board, that was sort of when Harrison began to gain some momentum, and they did, I believe, play better in that third quarter than North Paulding did. All right, so after another North Paulding fumble, Xavier Hill's 18-yard touchdown run nearly brought the Hoyas within a field goal, but Ethan Maddox batted down the 2-point pass to keep the score at 21-16 heading into the fourth. North Paulding extended its lead with Aiden Noble's 24-yard field goal after George hauled in a near pass that deflected off Anderson's hand in the red zone. And honestly, that was probably the play of the game outside of the one I showed you. Just a good pass, a good awareness, and then just with the tip balls in the rain. And Javarius George is just a big-time playmaker for North Paulding. He's gotten it done every single week. Hill gave Harrison a shot when he took a return into Wolfpack territory with 1:49 remaining, and Ford picked up a first down on a run before getting up with a limp. He managed to complete a touchdown pass to Brady Cluse on the next play, but Pitts knocked the ball out of his hands on the 2-point attempt that would have tied the game. That was an incredible play late in the game. And as we said, they could have tied it up if they were successful on that 2-pointer, but they could not get it. So they were 0 for 2 on their 2-point conversions. They were down by 8 the first time. They felt that they needed to. They were down by 8 again, but hindsight's 20/20, and in both situations they were kind of forced to go for the 2. All right, so then Coach Stark says, it is what it is. We got out of here with the victory. Our defense played great. They have been playing great all year. Really, we kept them in the game, though, with our special teams miscues, and we got to clean that up. And the special teams miscues, it was honestly just the snaps. That was just a problem throughout the night. Kickers don't wear gloves. That snap is coming back fast, and that's just tough to get off your typical punts. Like getting off a 45-yard punt, that's very difficult. And then Harrison was just outstanding on special teams all night, doing their best to pin North Paulding deep in territory. And then in the third quarter, outside of that Harrison field goal, it was just the teams trading punts. The defenses were not allowing anything. And really, until that Brady Cluse touchdown reception, North Paulding didn't give up any big plays all night defensively. But that was the big result. Region 3 will be an interesting one to continue to watch. I think that North Paulding-McEachern game is going to be big time coming up, and we'll see on Wednesday kind of what the computer models are saying on who the favorite is going to be. But let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side to continue going over 7A.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. And so back to Region 3. Marietta is the only team that has a win and a loss. They're 1-1. So the two undefeated teams in the region, McEachern and North Paulding, they're playing this Friday night. It's going to be at North Paulding. McEachern at North Paulding. Then Harrison, they're obviously 0-2 now, and Hillgrove is 0-1 coming off the bye. they're going to be playing. So 2 really important matchups in Region 3 this week while Marietta is on the bye. So that is how that is going to play out. All right, the other top result, let's focus on Region 4 real quick. Not many people would have predicted head into Week 10 that these 2 teams would be the ones that are undefeated in the region, and that's Newton and Archer. Both are 2-0, and Archer had a 28-27 win over Parkview. I think what we saw on Friday, the conditions were with the rain, it obviously impacts both teams, but some are just able, with better athletes or more experienced players, to just come out and steal the win. And so senior receiver William Wallace, who last season played quarterback for Archer, this year he's moved to wide receiver, and I think he went into the quarterback role later, but let's recap it real quick. William Wallace caught a pair of first half touchdown passes, then took over at quarterback in the second half after Jordan Doe went down with an injury, and added a touchdown pass and a rushing score for the road upset over number 7 Parkview. So when we're going over our top performers and players of the week tomorrow, throughout the rest of this week, that's pretty incredible right there, to dominate the Parkview secondary in that first half in the rain, have 2 touchdown catches, then go into quarterback and lead the team to a victory over Parkview 28-27. Just incredible. So shout out to William Wallace, a great player. We saw him also in the Corky Kell balling out at West Forsyth. All right, so his go-ahead score on a keeper came inside the final minute of regulation, and the Tigers recovered a Parkview fumble moments later to seal the win. Both teams will continue Region 4 play next week, with the Panthers traveling to Newton and Archer heading to South Gwinnett. So how does that impact things? Well, it's huge, because Parkview, they probably thought they were going to be going into that Newton matchup undefeated, and now with that loss to Archer, this is a huge game for them. They lost to Mill Creek in non-region play, so they had found the losing column before, but I feel like that's a really significant loss, and Newton has a chance with this one, because obviously they'll play Archer coming up, but if they beat Parkview, they're going to get home field. And let's just check, because I don't know if Newton, as good as they have been, have won a region title before. Let's check on that real quick. So in Newton's history, their last region title, 2015, and then 1987. So in the, the 70-year history, 2 region titles. And especially this year, all the top 10 teams they have in that region, that'd be quite a feat. And obviously it'd be huge for them securing home field in the playoffs. All right, so let me check what the other matchup's going to be. So Parkview Newton this week, Brookwood Grayson, that's right, and then South Gwinnett and Archer. South Gwinnett fell to Grayson 28-6 last week. They're 0-2. Brookwood's 0-2. You got Grayson and Parkview both at 1-1, and as we mentioned, Newton and Archer 2-0 heading into this week. All right. West Forsyth's win over Lambert, a 10-0 victory. It's a huge rivalry, and Lambert, similar to last year, was dominating at start, just undefeated, 6-0, and that is a big-time win for West Forsyth. They're 2-0, Milton's 2-0, and now Lambert and Denmark are 1-1. They're going to play this Friday. That'll be a big matchup, and you got West Forsyth and Milton playing on Thursday. And there's a ton of Thursday games this week, and that's one to watch for sure. All right, East Coweta They beat Campbell. They bounced back from that loss to Carrollton. You had the McEachern win over Marietta, 17-14. Who's calling me? All right. And that was McEachern's fourth win in a row after starting 0-4. Pretty incredible. And this is a McEachern team led by Kareem Reed. You credit just the response they had after the disappointing start to put themselves in position to win the region, get a top seed, and this is a team that missed out on the playoffs last season. And I think it was probably just like a 1-point loss on the last week of the season that kept them out of it. And so that's just one of the probably hottest teams in 7A right now. All right, in Region 7, Peachtree Ridge, a massive win over North Gwinnett, 27-17. They were coming off back-to-back bye weeks. North Gwinnett has been lights out with Ryan Hall, their quarterback. Was coming off probably his best stretch of games in his entire career. And just an incredible victory by Peachtree Ridge, who continues rolling 7-0, 3-0 in the region. And they will play Discovery next, and they still got that big Norcross matchup coming up. Still, though, I'm looking at the polls. I don't see Peachtree Ridge ranked anywhere at this point other than the Score Atlanta poll and probably the computer polls. But it's pretty incredible to have a 7-0 start. Now let's look at some of their recent wins. They beat Lanier 44-36. Lanier's been on a roll. They beat Loganville 40-14. Anyone that's watched Loganville the last few weeks, that offense is tearing it up, and they held them to 14 points. Held North Gwinnett to 17. And I think with Peachtree Ridge, that defense, that secondary, is going to be good for years to come. But they're getting it done this year. And if you can't pass the ball on a team, if you can't stretch the field deep, they can be aggressive. They can force you to be one-dimensional. And that's going to be the big key for Norcross when they play. Can Norcross have a balanced offensive attack? We know what A.J. Watkins can do. He can improvise. He can just use his athleticism. But if guys aren't able to get open, if Peachtree Ridge is just sticking in coverage and making it difficult, they have their own offensive firepower and athleticism to win that matchup. And so it's crazy to think that a win over North Gwinnett, they just keep handling business, and that's going to be one of the biggest matchups in 7A in 2 short weeks. All right, so let's look at 6A real quick. I mentioned this result on Friday. I thought it was key. Sequoia beat Creekview 31-27. Creekview was doing outstanding. Rome obviously is at number 1 in that region. They had just beaten Sequoia, and so that win by the Chiefs might secure them home field in the first round because Creekview still has to play Rome. They'll have the tiebreaker over Creekview, and so that was a big win for them. They lose that one, they'll probably go on the road week 1 in the playoffs. They get the win this time, a great response. Creekview was rolling 31-27. Mason Munn's rushing score gave host Creekview the lead midway through the fourth quarter, but Colby Martin connected with Jackson Hancock for the game winner with 3:24 left to seal the win for Sequoia. They're now both 3-1 in Region 6 after the back-and-forth battle. All right, so Dunwoody got a big win over St. Pius. They've only lost once this season. That's a team that is having a pretty historic run this year. Let's just put it in context real quick. And head coach Mike Nash has really gotten the participation numbers up. They had about, on their varsity roster, just a couple dozen players a few years ago. But they've really come out and put a lot of emphasis on it. So 6-1 right now. That's got to be the highest win total in quite a while. Let me check. Okay, highest win total since 2011. And the last time they made the playoffs was 2008 under James Teeter. So 6-1 and a shutout over St. Pius. I don't even need to tell you this, but I bet that head-to-head has been heavily favored towards the Golden Lions. So that was a big win for them. Those teams square off quite a bit. They still got North Atlanta on that schedule, but South Cobb and Riverwood. But I wanted to give them a shout out for a big win over St. Pius. All right, Gainesville coming off the bye, another just massive victory over Habersham Central. They're going to stay at number 1 in everyone's poll. Another game where you had just efficiency by Baxter Wright, 8 of 11 passing. Let's see. Hold up, I'm on the wrong class real quick. Yeah, 8 of 11, 144 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's the thing about Gainesville. So many different playmakers getting involved. They're clicking, and I think everyone agrees this year's Gainesville's team, they did lose some guys, but they're better this year than they were last year. I think that's undeniable. They're absolutely crushing it. All right, so also in 6A, you got these teams that remain unbeaten. Thomas County Central, Douglas County. So both of them were off last week, and this is going to be a big-time week for that region, or for those two regions. You're going to have Thomas County Central is going to battle Houston County. Houston County, their only region loss was to Lee County. They can really shake things up if they can get a win over Thomas County Central. That would potentially force a 3-way tie. Remains to be seen with what happens when Lee County plays Thomas County Central, but that's going to be on Saturday. So we certainly will be checking in on that game. And then you got Douglas County playing East Paulding. East Paulding fell to Hughes. I think this is the game where Douglas County wins this one. They're going to be region champs, and so that'll be a big opportunity for them off the bye. You got Lee County is going to be playing Northside at Warner Robins. Hughes is going to be playing Noonan. Let's see. Rome's got River Ridge. And then on Thursday, another big top 10 matchup, Marist at North Atlanta. So many good games this week, but a lot of them are on Saturday and Thursday. So that's why I really like our matchup that we'll talk about in a sec. And then Woodward Academy at Jonesboro. That will be on Friday also. They're both 5-2. So big week 10 coming up. All right, who stood out in Class 5A? Shout out to Creekside. They played Jackson, Atlanta, 66-6 victory. Creekside is now 6-1. They really looked good offensively. Vincent Berry, 12 of 15 passing, 213 yards, and 5 touchdowns, 2 to Eric Paul. And then Roderick McCrary rushed for 134 yards and a touchdown on 12 carries, and also caught a touchdown pass. Creekside, I still got them as my number 1. They had a hard-fought win against Mays a couple weeks ago, but putting up 66 points in those conditions this past week, that is quite impressive, and they're trying to get that home field. Jefferson, they were squaring off with Flowery Branch. That's a big rivalry game. Flowery Branch has picked up some big wins recently, specifically the Clark Central win. That was a huge victory for them, and Jefferson snapped that win streak. They improved to 7-0, 41-13 victory. I've talked about Jefferson, but I'm starting to really become more interested in them when you just look at this Class 5A picture. You got teams like GAC and Kell and Coffee at the top, Creekside, but man, Jefferson, they have been dominating, and you got a guy like Sammy Brown on that team who, once it comes to these big playoff games, they aren't going to be afraid to hand him the ball 25 times while he's starting on defense. And I mean, that's how some teams do it. How'd Thompson win the state title last year? They gave it to Javarius Curry as many times as it took. How did Grayson beat Walton in the state title in 2011? They gave it to Robert Kimdichie, their defensive tackle, as many times as it took. So when you have a big-time mismatch or athlete, you can use him in the big game. And I think that's what makes Jefferson very dangerous, especially if these other guys can continue to get involved in the regular season. But 41-13, Sammy Brown, 228 yards rushing off 24 carries. Their quarterback, Gavin Markey, also threw 3 touchdown passes. And Travis Nolan is an exceptional head coach. He got it done in North Carolina and then obviously led Oconee County to, I think, 3 consecutive finals. So you cannot sleep on Jefferson this year. They have looked outstanding. Cartersville, they improved to 8-0. A big 35-34 win over Hiram. 3 close games in a row in region play. 3 comebacks in a row. They just keep winning. And some team, I don't know who it's going to be, but is going to have to figure out how to beat them in the second half, because that's just insane. They're down 17-0 to Calhoun. Come back, get the win. They're playing Cass 2 weeks ago. Cass is in control the entire game. They don't get the lead until the third quarter. Cass is marching down the field with a chance to kick a game-winning field goal. They survived that one, and then in this one, Hiram was up 34-28, so a 6-point lead, and then looks like Christian Lando had a 4-yard run in the final 3 minutes to give them a 1-point victory. So 8-0, but 3 really probably stressful games for that fan base in a row. You got Ware County coming off a big win. Calhoun, their offense is starting to look really explosive. Trey Townsend is up there probably in the top 5, top 10 in Class 6A in passing this year. Another big performance, 4 touchdowns, 201 yards in a 48-13 win over Woodland Cartersville. Greater Atlanta Christian, they dominated North Springs for the second straight year. They're 7-0. That was a 55-14 victory. They were up 55-6 at the half. Big time first half numbers right there. They're on pace for 100. GL Tiberia rushed for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns on just 10 carries, 15 yards a carry. And then Jack Stanton, their quarterback, he is a big guy. I think he's the next solid quarterback to come through that program. There's been a lot of them. You got Davis Mills, you got Coach Hardy's son, who's now at Richmond, and then a lot over the years. He was 7 of 11 passing for 185 yards and 3 touchdowns. Xavier Daisy had 3 receptions for 101 yards and 3 touchdowns. So GAC, I am excited to see them in person this week. They're playing Kell. Kell got the best of them last year, but they just look like a completely different team. They've come out and dominated every single week, and I think it was just the youth these last few seasons where they've been building for a special 2023, and that is going to be a heck of a football game. You got Kell. They're coming off a 47-21 win over Cambridge. Cambridge served them their first loss of the year last season. We televised that matchup, and it was a tight one throughout the first half. Kell was down 21-13, and then down by a point at the half, 21-20, but then scored the game's final 34 points, 34-0 run. Tyreek Green rushed for 185 yards and 3 touchdowns on 14 carries. So Kell, that offense, I mean, they can do a lot of different things. They're absolutely loaded with playmakers. Coach May gets asked the question all the time. I mean, you have all these talented guys. How do you make sure they all get involved? And I think it's just whatever the defense is allowing them to have success in, they're going to do it. And with Cambridge, they just ran it all over them. So that's something we haven't seen recently. And then Bryce Clavin, 10 of 19 passing for 220 yards. Great game plan, and so exactly what you want to see with that balance. So let's talk about Kell a little bit. They're at number 10 for the second week in the HSC poll. They had been unranked. Who's their loss? It's to Parkview. That, I guess you'd say, it doesn't look as good as it looks now since Parkview just lost to Archer, but Parkview just has incredible talent, and that was also when Parkview had Kyer Spain at running back and at linebacker. He got hurt in that matchup. So, I mean, Kyer Spain week 1 was one of the better running backs and ballers in the entire state. I think he was an all-state player the last 2 seasons, one of the best running backs. So when Kell lost to Parkview, that was Parkview full strength. They almost came back in that one. So anyone saying that loss doesn't look as good, remember Kyer Spain was in that game. And then a big shout out to Kyle Vaca. You can go to Najee's YouTube page. We live streamed his announcement last night. It had great production. That's Sports Talk with Naj. We tweeted it out as well. And it was just a really impressive interview talking about his recruiting process, what he's experienced this year playing for Kell. He said it's the most fun football season he's ever had. Obviously, the success the team's having and he's having is a big part of that. But he made his decision. He's going to be playing for Eastern Kentucky. I'm an Eastern Kentucky fan now, and I think they're getting an absolute steal. I think Kyle Vaca is one of the best receivers in the state right now. He's getting it done in an offense that's spreading the ball out a ton. Every time I've seen him in person, I've never seen him drop passes. He's getting open. He looks a lot faster this season, and that was one of the points Najee brought up. And what did he say he was clocked at the last week? 20.1 miles per hour. And that is fast. And so one of the recruiting analysis I saw on Kyle, they were like, great hands, great route running, incredible ability to fight for the ball, but he's not a burner. And it's like, that's not true at all. Kyle Vaca, I've watched him since his sophomore season. He has never averaged less than 19 yards a catch. He is a deep threat and certainly someone that can stretch the field. But really, if he was on a different team, I'm not going to call any particular teams, but he could easily be a guy getting 10 targets a game, 15 targets even. And we see a lot of teams do that. But he's in this system, and so he can go off and have the big 130-yard games, but really Kell's offense is just more dynamic than that. And I encourage everyone to watch this week in the big matchup against GAC. Every play. I mean, you'll see the route running, just how good he is at getting open, and just I think he is college ready right now. From just his understanding of the game and the way he trains is just, it's nonstop. He's running track as soon as he got to Kell. He's with a professional trainer. He's got an incredible coaching staff he works with, and he was mentioning that, like his receiver coach, he's training receivers all over the area. I mean, he's that good, and Kyle gets to work with him every single day. And so,
pro receivers too.
Yeah, trains pro, college, and so he's getting that training every single day. And one of the things I said, I used to give Kyle advice. I'm like, yeah, Kyle, here's how you need to run to catch the deep ball. You got to keep your head still. You're going to be able to track the ball better. If you're moving too much, you might lose sight of it. And I said it took 1 minute into this season, and it was against Parkview, when he blew past 2 defenders and caught a 70-yard touchdown. I said, I'm done giving him advice. Kyle is so far past where I ever was as a receiver. He is the real deal. So I'm excited for him. Congrats to Eastern Kentucky. It's a great interview. You guys will really enjoy it. Shout out for John Brinkus, the Brinks TV network. They set it up. We had mics on. We had multiple cameras. It was very professional, and so I'm glad we got to do it, and you can check that out. All right, so, and yeah, it all comes down to this matchup too. I mean, we didn't even plan it that way. Najee said he wanted to cover his announcement. It came this week, and now we've got their game for the Hall of Fame coming up. So that's just really exciting to see what Kel's been able to do. As you guys know, their quarterback Bryce Clavin was playing baseball for about 4 weeks. He's been back 3 games now. Kamari Nix, one of the better athletes, he came over from Sprayberry. He's been playing quarterback, running back, safety. He's back in it, and it's just a great job by that coaching staff and then that locker room for just finding ways to get better each week and set themselves up for this position. 5A is going to be really fun to watch. Let's take one more quick break. We'll close it out on the other side, talking about the Hall of Fame.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. Yes, you can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
All right, welcome back. So let's talk about the Hall of Fame that is going to be a focus all week long. On Wednesday's show, I'm going to try to get a Hall of Famer as a guest, and then we'll go over the 40-person class. Last year's event was a ton of fun. Welcome in 36 inductees, 9 Pro Football Hall of Famers for 45 total. Every single person getting in was either there in person or had a direct representative, which was awesome. You had just Eric Berry, Champ Bailey, every single legend you can think of was there. And then the only ones that couldn't were guys that were literally on television. Guys like Takeo Spikes, David Pollock, Jeff Francoeur, and then they did it from the set. And so that was awesome. So this year, the attendance is going to be fantastic once again. It's going to be Saturday, October 21st. It looks like tickets are still available. And when we say a VIP package, it really is. You're going to have your own name tag. You're mingling with all these great coaches, players. I mean, everyone's like telling stories about their communities, their careers, and it is just an unbelievable event and celebration. That's also Georgia's bye week, so no excuses for that Saturday. And we got the prices and the link at the scoreatl.com landing page. You can find it on the right side. So that will be a lot of fun. And we also will have more content and stories about that. Sorry, my nose itches. And then, yeah, we'll go over the list as well, just the credentials. I said last week the player I'm going to get to hang out with is Charles Johnson, an absolute Georgia legend. He balled out at Hawkinsville, was a 5-sport athlete, played for the Panthers, one of the better defensive linemen. I enjoyed always watching him play, even as a Falcons fan, but I'm looking forward to just talking to him about the fact that he used to play tennis, just how he managed all those different sports, and then just what he's been up to. So that's the type of just fun experience, and then it's obviously going to be televised as well on Saturday after our big matchup. But that's it for now. Tune in tomorrow. Me and Najee will be covering all the high school action, college football, and the NFL with underrated and overlooked. That will be at noon. But thank you, everyone, and we'll see you then.